Alright guys, back at it today with the C5. We're gonna do a little bit of basic maintenance. We're gonna do rear diff fluid, manual transmission fluid. I know this says automatic transmission fluid, but that is what GM spec'd for this vehicle, so that's what we're gonna use. Always use what the manufacturer says. Otherwise, bad things can happen. Before we start though, we're gonna do what I probably should have done the last time I did an oil change, and that is empty out my drain pan into the old oil containers. Ugh, gross. All right, so now that we got that ready, let's go do that. Alright guys, so we're underneath the car, and let me tell you, this shot is not easy to get, but I haven't found a really great video, and I wanted to give you guys a really clear picture of what we need to do here. So this is where your actual fill is on the manual transmission. So you gotta unplug this sensor right here. It's just a little clip. I'm literally doing this without looking, so bear with me. So you're gonna feel that little thing right there. So I was pushing up on that right there. So pushing up that way from underneath. It's really tricky to show you it, but now that you can see it, literally I just got my finger in there and pushed up. Don't push super hard because it's just plastic, and as you're pulling up, you'll feel it release and just pull straight back and it will come out. And then the next thing we're gonna do is get a wrench on right there, and that's the fitting to remove the sensor from the transmission so that we can fill up new fluid after we drain it. And remember, always take your fill off first. Wherever you have to fill, remove first, because God forbid you go and drain out all that old fluid and then you go to try to take the fill off and you can't get it out. Well, now you have a vehicle you can't use because you can't get fluid back in it. So fill first, then drain. Alright, so I'm gonna go grab the tool that we need for that, and we'll try to get that bad boy off. Alright guys, so we're back. I found the best tool that I have for this job, and it actually happened to be an oxygen sensor socket. So it's a 7/8 of an inch socket, and it's just on a 3/8 ratchet. And let's see if we can break this loose. Oh yeah. Oh, that worked out perfect. Oh yeah, look at all that old dirt and grime. So this is what makes it an oxygen sensor socket, is this slit right here, because normally on oxygen sensors they have a really long pigtail that doesn't come off of the sensor. So that allows the wire to dangle through as you loosen it up. Alright, so let's get that off all the way. Hopefully no fluid comes out. Declan will be real sad if I ruin his camera. Yeah, that'd suck. Alright, so let's get this out of here while we still have room, and I can do the rest by hand now. Seems like an unnecessarily long thread, but you know. Alright, and I'll let it out slow just in case there's going to be fluid, but there shouldn't be. Nope, we're good. Alright, so that's our prize right there. So this doubles as a sensor slash fill plug. So, alright, let's go get the drain plug out, get that old fluid out, and then we'll move on to the differential. Alright guys, so now we're at the drain plug. You can see I'm already hooked up into it, and this is literally just a 3/8 inch drive, so you don't need a socket or anything like that. And I'm using an extension just because it makes it a little easier to get in there, especially while filming. So we're gonna break that loose. Oh, wow. That guy was really in there. And make sure you have your drain pan underneath here already, because once this stuff starts coming out, ain't no stopping it. Here it comes. And as you can see, it is red. Automatic transmission fluid, just like GM says to use. And some is gonna splosh out, or splash out. I just totally made up a word. So just be prepared for that. You're gonna have to do a little bit of cleaning on your floor when you're done. Alright guys, so once you get to this point and it's just dripping, grab that drain plug. Put that back in. Make sure that you don't cross thread this thing. It is pipe thread, so it can cross thread relatively easily. So you gotta be careful, but you'll feel it when it's correct. And then we'll just get it by hand initially. And this thing doesn't take a ton of torque when you tighten it up. Grab that ratchet again that you used to take it off. Just get your tool set back up. Tighten that back up. And I'm using literally one finger. And once I get that resistance where it's not pulling easily, stop. That's all it requires. There is a torque spec for it, but I have never in my life used a torque wrench on a drain bolt, and I've also never had a leak. I've never had pulled threads or anything like that. So if you want to torque it down, go for it, but if you do it by feel, like I said, don't gorilla this thing. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. Alright, so let's get some new fluid in here. Alright, so we're getting ready to fill the transmission now, and unfortunately my siphon pump, or my transfer pump, isn't exactly the right size for the opening on this, because this has the stupid gallon size mouth on it, as opposed to the quart size bottle one, but it's still going to work. So this is a godsend when you're filling up transmissions and differentials. So this little guy is just going to sit on there, and you can see I added a little length of 3/8 inch fuel hose to that so it'll actually reach the bottom. And basically this just goes up into the transmission where I showed you us pulling out the fill plug, and it's got these little wings that kind of hold it in place. So we'll get that up in there, and then it's literally just pumping the new fluid. Alright, let's go do it. Alright guys, so you can see the tube there in the fill port. I ended up actually taking the black piece off because the opening wasn't big enough for it. So the tube is actually in there and seated. So now we'll actually hook up the pump to the bottle and we'll start transferring some fluid in. And I'm going to keep an eye on that tube while I do it to make sure it doesn't pop out, because I really don't want the fluid on the floor. I want it in the transmission. Alright, let's start pumping. And the pump. Dang it. Alright guys, so pumping in the fluid wound up being a two-person job because, as you saw, my pump decided to break. Standard, I swear to God, when you work on cars and you involve a camera, everything goes wrong. So we're gonna finish up. We're gonna put the plug / sensor back in with the same tools we pulled it out with. Same thing with this one. When you put it in, you do not have to crank down on this thing crazy, especially because it's a fill plug, so there's really not any fluid up there for the most part. Just get it in there, snug it up. Don't crank down on it super hard. We're gonna go put that in. I'm gonna wrap this video up. Let's do it. Hey guys, look at what we came across while we were shooting another video for you. So the original video that I watched on YouTube about doing the transmission fluid change in this said that you filled through that sensor. It looks like you fill right there where it says fill. Well, let's break that loose. Oh, Lord. Okay, let's not break that loose. Let me grab my breaker bar. I'll be right back. And just like that, movie magic, we're back. Alright, so we got that one broken loose. So what I'm going to do now... Wow, loud sounds. So what I'm going to do now, because we most likely overfilled the transmission slightly by using the other port as the fill, is I'm going to take this out all the way off camera And any excess fluid that is in there at this point will actually drain out of this. And once it comes down to a trickle, I'll put the plug back in, and then we'll be at the correct fluid level. All right, guys, well, we make these mistakes so you don't have to. The manual transmission fluid is done. We found the correct fill port, which thank God we found that, because it was probably, if I had to guess, about a half a quart, almost too much fluid in there. Might have been fine, but I'd rather just do it the right way the first time. Hopefully you guys actually see this video and not the other one that told you how to do it the wrong way, because man, that wouldn't have been good. See you next time.